Hello, welcome to Win Some Lose More. My name is Dieter, and you join me and my brother Rick as we work our way through our top 100. We are into the top 40. This is basically a pop chart now.
This is Dr. Fox territory.
It is Dr. Fox territory, and as such, I was looking at it before we started, and I would describe this section of the list as I don't care what you say about it, I love it. I recognize that some of these games aren't the best, but I have such a love for them.
Yep.
That they belong on the list, and they get no higher than this, but it would hurt to put them any lower.
Yeah. Yes. Agreed.
Nice.
Shall I kick us off?
Yeah, what have you got?
Number 40, Ice Cool.
Exactly.
Yep. This is a flicking game where you are delinquent penguins avoiding class in an high school. There it is. There's the pun. And you take it in turns. Everyone has a turn at being the hall monitor, trying to catch the other people. You do that by flicking your penguin onto others. Sounds fairly plain, except that when you play it, these penguins are like the weebles. They wobble and they don't fall down. They've got weights in the bottom. And I can't do it. I doubt you can do it, but our other brother certainly can do trick shots.
And all children can do it.
Oh, it's incredible, isn't it?
But most adults cannot.
Our niece just flicks a thing and it just bounces over across 2 rooms and hits the appropriate penguin. Another game. Add them if you're watching, viewers, and you want to go back and rewind the amount of games that I love that I'm not good at. Ice Cool would be very high on that list. It's super fun. My 4-year-old can play it. Everyone can play it. And sometimes you'll try the best shot you can and it doesn't come off, and other times you wang it and it does something absolutely incredible. So it's lucky as anything, and the point scoring system similarly luck driven, but who cares? You're flicking wobbly penguins around. It is great. Number 40, Ice Cool.
And the box is the board.
Oh, and I forgot to say Ice Cool 2 in that as well, which is basically the same, just reversed maps, and then you can mix the 2 together and make mega maps. Ooh, with up to 8 players. Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Speaking of mashing lots of things together, my number 40 is Marvel Legendary. Or Legendary, a Marvel deck building game, if you want to get technical about it. Yeah, who cares? I only have the base game and 1 big box expansion. You don't need an expansion. There's so much variety that comes in the base box as is. This is a deck building game where there is a mastermind. Again, about 5 or 6 come in the base box. Could be Red Skull, Venom, all these Loki, all these famous Marvel characters. Could be the mastermind, and they have a plot, and bad things will happen as different things happen. And then they have minions like Hydra and the Hand and enemies of Asgard and all these types of people, all the Sinister Six, and these come out and try and get you. All the while, you have, before the game has started, shuffled together 4 or 5 different heroes or cards for those heroes into a deck. So Cyclops, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Iron Man, all the mans, just in one box.
Batman?
No, all the Marvel mans. Sorry. There's just so much in there. And then I've got the X-Men expansion because I like the X-Men, so it throws all those kind of characters in as well, Gambit and Legion, and people that you need to know X-Men to like, Jubilee, all the famous ones. But again, like we mentioned with Dice Masters, if you like certain characters, they've made a set for it. It doesn't matter who it is. The Guardians of the Galaxy, they're in there. Captain Marvel and all her friends, they're in there. Captain America, they're in there. Captain Britain, all the captains, they're in there. All the captains and all the mans, that's how it is. This is a relatively simple deck building game. You're not controlling the characters. I like to think of it as we're agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. directing the movements of the characters, because I can have a Cyclops card and you can have a Cyclops card. So it's more that I've coordinated this attack and then later you've given the order and he's given that attack. So not as thematic, but you can stretch it. And same deal, you've got attack and you've got buying power, essentially normal deck builder stuff. But then there are suits like strength, technology, command, whatever it is. If you've played one of that type and then you play another card that has an effect for that type. So if you've got 2 Iron Man cards, they might chain together and add an extra effect. So you want to specialize in a certain way to be better at things. You get stronger as you go on. As deck builders, you want to feel like you're getting better at things.
Yeah.
And the bad guys might take hostages and you've got to go save them. But if you get hurt, I think you mentioned this with trains, you take on wounds, which go into your deck, which just clog it up and you have to heal to get rid of those. And so it's just all this chaotic fun. There's a little bit of setup time as you choose who's going in what and shuffling lots of stuff together. That's about it. There's a lovely organizer inside. So it's nice and simple. And just, if you like Marvel and you like deck builders, you can't really ask for anything else. Marvel Legendary, love it.
My 39 is one of those rare things that actually dropped in the ratings when I got the expansion.
Wow.
And I kept it. And that's not because the expansion is bad, and it's also not because the game is bad, but actually the expansion showed me the limitations of the game. And gone, okay, so there's not loads more we're going to do with this.
Is it Wingspan?
No, but it is a Stonemaier. It's Tapestry.
Okay.
So I can't remember what the Plans and Ploys expansion came out, and it added a little bit. And I liked all the things it added, and we promptly played it. Think about the last thing we played 4-player before we went into a local lockdown, with people that knew how to play, bar one, who's very good at games anyway, so it was all fine. And I just was sort of underwhelmed and thought, yeah, this is a decent economic engine builder with a bit of exploration and stuff. And it's fine, and I enjoy it. And I sometimes, by the way, I've reflected on this and thought this is possibly the most negative top 100 games anyone's ever seen, because we're always like, oh, it's great, but it's only fine. We're British, what can you do? It just for me was like, Tapestry that was knocking on the door of the top 10 at one point. I just go, I've kind of seen Tapestry now. I'm always happy to play it, but it's not like going, hey, new thing, you really want. When the next expansion comes out, I think I might just see how we go.
You mean you'll wait for me to get it?
Well, you waited for me to get this one.
Only technically. We got it at the same time, but it was shipped to you. That doesn't really count.
That's exactly count. Yeah, so Tapestry. Great game. Not quite as high as I thought it was going to be at one stage, 39.
My number 39 is an intellectual property I will always love. This is my favorite pandemic game, and Rick has already mentioned it. I think it's a pandemic game. This is Thunderbirds.
Why didn't you group it with your pandemics then?
Again, it's distinct enough because it's pick up and deliver.
Yeah.
Whereas the other, it is, but it's very much action points, which this is as well. But because each vessel, because you can jump, you're not even any one of you're one of the characters, sort of, but you can manipulate all of the characters, even other players on the at the table, and put them in all the various machines as long as they are in the same space. And then each one of those machines has a different distance. So Thunderbird 1, everybody knows, is the fastest first response machine, so it goes the furthest. And then some of the others can only go, obviously, 2 spaces. And then some of the small ones like Fab 1 only go 1 space. And so you have to balance that. Great, that gets you around the board.
Unless they go in Thunderbird 2.
Unless they go in Thunderbird 2 and the hatch opens and you put the little pieces inside, and I have the upgrades, so all the little inventions are little pieces instead of tokens, because who wants garbage tokens?
Yeah, but you can't tell which one's which.
Yes, you can. Don't be an idiot. If you don't know it, you won't. I know.
The people I played it with.
Sure. But all along the bottom there are these disasters that are happening from the show. the original show, which I love and remember very fondly. And you have to get around to get the right people with the right vehicles in the right place at the right time, and then roll dice. So it's not guaranteed. You have to be skillful and lucky and have tokens to mitigate things. There's a lot going on. This is the opposite of what I said at Pandemic. I think this is harder at lower player counts. It's easier at higher player counts.
I agree.
And actually, I contradict myself slightly. I will solo this, and it's not even a two-hander. It's a flipping three-hander. Playing 3 distinct hands, and I'll still solo this over a two-hand Pandemic because I love immersing myself in the world that much. I love the art and the production so much. Personally, I love it. There are flaws. I'm bad at it. I lose 90% of the time, but I love it. Thunderbirds, you were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say, I think the reason it works better as a one person playing many characters is because all those characters are in play in every game anyway.
Yes, yeah.
And so it's not that you're having to manipulate people who may or may not be in the game. They're in the game. You just then have the opportunity to, I will move Virgil onto this one because that's on his turn. And where are we? Oh, my number 38. Brilliantly, we played this game, which is just 2 letters for a title, though it stands for something. And then we did a crossword, and the question was, what is the process of banks printing money to get them out of debt? And we said, it's quantitative easing. We've literally just learned that word. Couldn't believe it. This is QE, the auction game where you print your own money. It totally sounds like it shouldn't work, but basically you're going after some sort of MacGuffin, and you are bidding on it by spending £1. But if someone beats you with £2, sure, maybe next time you'll bid £3. There's no currency. It's all just a dry white marker on a sealed bid, which means it can just keep going up. So as long as you can think of numbers, it keeps getting bigger and it keeps inflating. Why wouldn't you just spend the biggest thing? Oh, because the person who spent the most money overall at the end of the game immediately loses. But I really want that thing. Yes. How much money are you going to spend on it? QE. Sounds like it shouldn't work. Brilliant fun. Number 38.
I'm so desperate to play this. I love the sound of this so much. It sounds like such fun. My 38 is also a dry wipe game. This is, I did split these up because the experiences are very distinct. My 38 is Sonar, just behind me. This is the 2 to 4 player, and I would say 2 or 4 player. 3 is fine, but I'd say 1-on-1 or teams of battleships as battleships should have always been. You've got a screen up, so you're blocked off from your opponent. As battleships, you couldn't see what the other person was doing, but you've got 2 sheets. One of them is your map, and one of them is a blank map with a clear piece of acetate over the top. And on your map, you're tracking your movement, and you have to announce it out loud so the other people can hear, and you're going north, south, east, west, what have you. Every time you move, you gain an energy. Doesn't quite make thematic sense, but we say, yes, we gain an energy. And then it's your opponent's turn. It's turn-based. This is the key difference between it and Captain Sonar. It's turn-based, and then your opponent says a direction. And so you then are trying to track where you think they are on the blank map and moving your acetate around, going this movement because you can't cross your line, and there are islands on the map which you can't hit. So eventually you have enough information to kind of figure out where they are. And then with your energy, you can do a few things. You can fire torpedoes. Ideally, that's what you want to do. 2 hits on your opponent and you win, or 2 hits on you, you lose. Or go invisible and be able to move 2 spaces without announcing. Or this is Sonar, or you say Sonar, and they have to tell you either the row or column that they are on. So you get a little bit of information, but obviously that uses energy. So you're trying to time it, you're trying to battle it. If you ever get completely stuck, you have to surface and announce exactly where you are so they know, and then you're in this frantic battle to try and escape, and because you can only fire if you're in the same quadrant as the other people. And so it's this quiet, tense cat and mouse going on that is wildly different from Captain Sonar, which we will talk about. Have you talked about Captain Sonar already? No. We will discuss it.
Like it.
Yes, quite. Again, I'm a 2-player player. This works for me. Quiet tactical battles, perfect for me. Dry wipe, fascinating. Everybody's interested. It just works on many levels. This is Sonar.
My 37, you spoke about a little while ago, and it is Glass Road.
Wow.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. It's got absolutely no place on our gaming shelves.
No.
Because it's just
ugly.
Not the look. Yeah, it's not the look we go for. It's not the feel we go for. I think because you're primarily 2-player and probably play more gamery people. I generally play in larger groups and I'm often teaching. I think this would be a hurdle on both of those counts.
Yeah.
That said, I like it. I like the dial system. I like the resource management. I like the follow mechanism. I like it. I like it a lot. It is very good. 37 Glass Road.
Fine. My number 37, you said at a similar time to I said Glass Road, I think, maybe earlier. This is Bang the Dice game.
Okay.
The complete opposite end. This is large groups, teach people, have lots of fun. We mentioned last time I prefer I'm more into social deduction than you are,
Yes.
in figuring out who everybody is, and having taught it to our other brother who is mean. And he was the renegade, so he just got to kill everybody, so he had a wonderful time.
Even if he wasn't the renegade, that's what he'd do.
Exactly. Even if he's the sheriff and somebody said, "Oh, I'm your deputy, I'm here to help you." Nope. He immediately went out and bought it. And I can name 3 or 4 other people. The first time I taught it to them, they went, "This is amazing. We've got to get this game," because it's so simple. Yahtzee dice, so easy. Beer is life, of course it is. Shooting whoever you like, and you can pay attention to social deduction or not. Brilliant. It's just hilarious fun. Yes, there's player elimination, but wait 5 minutes. You'll be over it in no time. Love it. Bang the Dice game. 37.
My 36. We've talked a couple of times about Bruno Catala's favorite mechanism, it seems, of bidding and then inflecting turn order later.
Sure.
And this game does that, and it's probably the last great Days of Wonder game, Yamatai.
Controversial.
No, you think there's better ones since?
I don't, but others might.
Yeah, no, there aren't. The production quality on this is basically the best thing they ever did. The pieces are so chunky, the Chinese arches, the temples, just the little pieces, the cardboard is great, the art style is great. This is stunning. I really, really like this game. The reason we got rid of it in the end, actually, is because it's not so friendly for colorblind. And one of our, this is on Days of Wonder's gamery end. This isn't your Ticket to Rides. You probably have say Ticket to Ride, Quadropolis, Small World, Yamatai, 5 Tribes. Yeah, it's down that end. And so our friends who we play that sort of thing, one of them's colorblind at the time. That it just wasn't going to happen, which was a real shame. So it didn't last. But I really, really think it's something great. I like the bidding mechanism that we've talked about, King Domino and Imaginarium already. I like the archipelago nature of exploring. I like the drafting that goes on. I like the fact that there actually aren't that many actions and it sort of cycles through again, almost like in a century sort of way. You're like, I'm not going to get that this time, but in a little turn, it will come back around again. I've never played 5 Tribes. Because I had a bit of a hang up with the theme. I didn't really care for the jinns, the genies, the demons, the sort of, are they enslaved people? Is it something a little bit scarier than that? It wasn't really for me. So when they brought out Yamatai and you've got the heroes who do basically the same thing, I was like, okay, I'm in. And it was, yeah, really good. And often really cheap. Maybe I should get it again now that we've moved.
It's out of print.
Is it?
It was really cheap because people were shifting off stock. It's gone.
Yeah. Really good. If you can get a copy, I don't think you'll be disappointed. Nice game. Number 36, Yamatai.
My number 36 also stems from my Rummy preference. I spoke about Fantasy Realms before. This is Lost Cities. This is much closer to a Rummy style game, except you're building the hands in front of you almost. This is a Rainer Knizia game. I don't think we've really spoken about Rainer Knizia yet, which is bizarre considering he's one of the most prolific designers that exists.
Yeah. I don't think he's a man for hits, though, is he? Prolific, but not hits.
Sure, there's always the odd one or two that's huge, and then the rest is always around.
Yeah.
I think Lost Cities is one of the cleverest designs out of just a deck of cards. Obviously, it's not a normal deck of cards. It's just 5 colors, ranging 1 to 10, 2 to 10. You have something to say?
We'll talk about this in a minute.
Okay. What I love is as soon as you start...
We'll talk about this in a minute.
My 36, Lost Cities.
My 35, you talked about a little while ago. I think the reason it's so much higher on my list and so much lower on your list is because I won it and you didn't. It's Friday. It's a one-player only game, which you suck at and I am good at. Your Robinson Crusoe, or actually no, your Friday trying to help Robinson Crusoe stay alive on the deserted island. He is very good at getting killed, and he's very bad at, like, there's just 2 cards. Hey, he did something good. What a relief. And there's different stages to it, and you have to fight bosses. And I really didn't think I'd enjoy this. I didn't. The art style was underwhelming. The premise of it, I thought, sure, I got to go and fight bosses. I was never really that kind of computer gamer, so why would I enjoy that? It's fast. It's compulsive. It's winnable. It's Friday. 35.
Would you like a large bucket of salt? I see you have a wound.
Like Robinson.
Yes. Stab myself in the eye. My number 35 is, Rick mentioned last time, this is Dominion. Now, I don't have to fight on this. A lot of people love it. It's great. And it's as high as this because of lockdown. I know you've mentioned a couple because of Zoom. Okay. They have their own free website platform where you can just play Dominion.
Have they?
We have played so much of this, and all of the expansions are on there. I'll even put a link in the description.
I will end this call now.
It is so easy to get into. It's so compulsive, as we've mentioned with deck builders. You just go, and every time there's so much variety, even in the base box. Like I said with Marvel Legendary, the game comes with so many different types of cards that you could just chuck in and go. And this one has that excellent arc of, when do I stop buying cards to do stuff and start using the stuff to buy the points? Points are going to clog my hand, but that's how I both end and win the game. It's just good. It's just good. It's hideous. There is zero theme. What are you doing? Who cares? I'm sure some of the expansions add some of that in, but I don't know what they are. I don't know why I'm doing this, but it's fun. And I could play it for a very, very long time and have. I included it because I've played physical versions as well, but I've played so much of it digitally in the last 6 months or so. I love it. It's Dominion.
You also know it's a mega, mega hit when it makes into mainstream films. You've seen Me, Earl and the Dying Girl?
I know of.
Yeah, it's in that.
Right.
Anyway, my number 34. We've talked a little bit about grouping some types of games together. I'm very, very happily here going to divide 2 games, because I played King of New York and thought it was fine, and thus prejudged King of Tokyo, because I thought, well, if that's the prequel, if that's the one that came before, and this is the new, better version King of Tokyo, surely King of New York, King of Tokyo surely is terrible. King of New York, I could take or leave. King of Tokyo, I have played a lot. I have taught lots of people. It is Yahtzee, mechanic, chuck 5 dice, keep what you want, chuck again, and then do it 3 times. And you are monsters fighting over Tokyo. And you will score points if you're in Tokyo, but you can't heal in Tokyo. So people will go at you. You've got this king of the hill mechanism going on. When you're in Tokyo, everyone hits you, but you hit everyone else as well. But it's very hard to do that. And you will either lose the game by dying, because everyone has these scorecards with little wheels on, you lose health, or you become so prolific in your monsterdom that you score 20 points and you win the game. Most of the time, people don't win by points. I think the only people I've ever played with where we consistently scored points was a group of women, and they were just much happier to live and let live and slowly rack up points on some engine building that they'd done with some cards. Not my wife, it has to be said. She is very much more likely to batter you, even if it harms her.
Yes.
This is fast. It is fun. I totally prejudged it. King of Tokyo, don't get King of New York. My number 34.
My number 34, I wonder if I could get you to like Friday. So this is a solo game, solo-only game. It's a game called McKee. Instead of deck building, this is a worker placement game. You are the McKee, the French resistance in World War II. And you have this little map of locations, and it is your job. There are loads of different missions that it could be. Basically, you have 2 cards to fulfill that require you to go out to locations, do those locations worker placement style, and be able to make it back. There's a map with all these connecting routes. And if you go to the doctors to pick up medicine, every time you place a worker, the milice, I believe they were called, the military police, put out a patrol.
That's just a portmanteau.
It probably is just me misremembering. They put out a patrol, and if their patrol blocks your route back, your person's going to get arrested unless you have a weapon to shoot them and escape. But you don't start with those. You have to go out and get those, and then there are safe houses to do. And so this tiny little game, it started out as a print and play for years, award-winning print and play. They finally made a physical copy. The art style is beautiful. I think you and your wife would enjoy the art style, but just the pleasant, crunchy puzzle that this game presents, the variability.
Cool.
But just it's a lot of fun. I spoke about it a lot last year. It's a great game. McKee 34.
Great. It's nice to see that we have actually got a crossover on this list. We thought we'd have more on this one. I'm not going to talk about it just yet because actually this is one that I know we're going to be very divergent on. This is my lowest former number 1.
Ooh.
And to be fair, I didn't have loads of games, or I hadn't played loads of games, but it was my number 1. But I played it to death. I really like it, even at 2-player. This is Bonanza.
Garbage. Hot, steaming garbage.
I told you we'd be divisive. And this is good. We're not just the same person in different genres.
No. Uwe, what are you doing?
It was brilliant. It's brilliant. You are farming beans. You lay down farm. Shut up. It's a set collector, and there's it's very mathsy because you've got high numbers of beans that take a lot of beans to yield 1 coin, and then you've got other beans that there aren't very many of, but they are high yield in terms of coins. You have 2 spaces in front of you, and the meat of it is a trading game. And you and I, we've talked about it before, grew up on Monopoly. And maybe this is again why you don't like this game and I like this game, because I won at Monopoly and I'm good at trading, and you, sir, are rubbish.
I'm kind. I'm kind is what it is. And you went, "Oh, this is a great deal for you," and I went, oh, "Okay."
Yeah, also helped me 4 years older, and you didn't understand. But that seems to have carried through to adulthood because you're rubbish at Bonanza as well. Yeah. But it's a trading game. It's a space organization. There's a bit of hand management. The most crucial thing when you teach this game is like, right, look at your hand. Don't move your cards. Don't move them. Well, can I not check? I want to put them in groups. I want my wax beans and my stink beans, which, by the way, is a hilarious word. Stink beans. And, you get all the fun. I'll trade you a wax for a stink. That never gets old. But you want to group them together. But no, they're in a weird order. And actually, that impacts what you do in the game. And you might want to, I'm just going to donate this card because actually it's getting in my way. But I'm going to donate it out of the benevolence of my heart to someone else who needs it. It's quite simple. It holds up to 7 players. The 2-player variant, I actually think is quite good. My wife and I played that quite a lot. There's no trading because trading never works. Oh, a wax bean. Well, I'm not going to give it to you. So trading 2-player games never work. This had a good little variant on it, whereby a bit like you were saying with Sagrada, what you leave behind benefits the other person.
Yeah.
So you act like, I don't really want to leave that behind, but it really doesn't benefit me. And so you've got that tough choice in there as well. One of my absolute favorites. By the way, art style. Well, I'd rather be poked in the eye than look at this. It's not good. German cartoon style. I don't know what they were thinking. It's old. That's all I can put it down to. Please, someone reprint it. I will buy 10 copies. There you go. My number 33, Bonanza.
It just always blows my mind that this is the same Uwe Rosenberg as Caverna and Glass Road and Agricola and all the Polyomino games. And then he does these just bizarre little card games.
He loves gardening.
He does love gardening. He loves gardening. He loves it so much. I get the you can't rearrange your hand puzzle. That I'm good with. But I sat and played a 5-player game of this and it took so long. It takes so long. This is a slow game. Never mind the trading. It's a slow game. But then maybe I was just with cagey people and didn't move at a quick pace. I don't know. Number 33 does move nice and quickly. And again, I would argue with what you said about player count. You mentioned this last time. This is between Two Castles of Madkin Ludwig. I think you mentioned that 7 would go longer than 3 and 4. I disagree.
Didn't say that. I said I like that it's in 7 and you could still play at that speed.
Oh, okay. Then I agree. Well done. Good point.
Thank you.
Maybe what you said about is it would stall at 3 because this person's trying to talk to that person at the same time.
Yes.
It's fine. It works. It's good. I like it at 3. I like it at every single player count except 2. They're reworking it, I believe, and coming out with a solo variant that you can then incorporate into the 2-player because the 2 players,
one castle of
yes, stood amidst castles
in the courtyard of the castle.
Exactly everything Rick said. The fascinating tirade of cacophony is the word, not tirade, of noise that goes on with I'm talking to you and you whilst everyone else is talking, and there's just this lovely sense of cooperation when really it's an entirely individual competitive game. And so you kind of coincide with people rather than cooperate necessarily, and you go, oh, what do you want to put there? Okay, well, I've got this one. That'll help. Okay, we'll put that one there if you put that one there. There's a negotiation to it whilst you're going, oh, I've got this one left over. Oh, perfect. You've got that one. Yes. Because as Rick said, you need to build them both up because your worst one scores. And it's great. Production's so good. The game trays, I've mentioned them before, love them because you just pull them out and that's the game set up. That is it. You lift the lid. Done. Oh, so good. Between Two Castles of Madkin Ludwig, my 33.
Right then, 32. Talk about Lost Cities.
We'll talk about it later.
No, we'll talk about it now.
This has a fascinating, delightful... We have a crossover in the same list. Oh, Zoolander, we've done it before. We're old hands at this. Yes, you're trying to build these things, and there are wagers. As soon as you put one card down in a color, you get minus 20 points. It's going to cost you to go on that expedition. And so you have to score more than 20 points for it to have been worth it. And the cards are worth face value as you go up, and you can only put higher numbers on top of numbers that have come before. So if you play that 10, you're screwed. You can't put anything else on top of it because that's done.
You score minus 10.
You score minus 10. Unless you've played a handshake, a wager card to say, I'm so confident this one's going to score that I'm going to play a wager card before I play any numbers. So you can't even play it halfway through.
And then if you play the 10 on top, you minus the minus.
Exactly.
You multiply the minus.
You multiply whatever the difference is from 20. So
Yeah.
if, as Rick said, if you've got minus 10 and you've played a wager card, you get minus 20. Or if you play 2 wager cards, you get minus 30. But if you finished on 24 points and you've played 2 wager cards, you're actually going to score 12 points.
Yeah.
And so all of this stuff is going on, and the cards emerge as you work your way through this deck, and you have to play a card before you pick up a card. So yes, I could draw blind from the deck, but same as Fantasy Realms, there are discards that you can choose from. But I have to get rid of one from my hand before I can get that. I can't just pick up the card I need and play it like a schmuck. You have to puzzle out, what do I get rid of? What do I build? And what am I giving my opponent before you've even thought about what you want? Boy, this is a good game.
Shall I talk about it, seeing as it's my 32?
Go for it.
I just want to say, like, I think that this is basically a perfect 2-player game. I know they've made it into like a 4-player multiplayer. I'm like, surely that misses the entire point. One of the things that my wife is massive on when we play 2 players is she is quite an aggressive player, as you might have picked up by now. But she will happily do something that costs me points, even if it doesn't gain her any, because of the nature of this sort of push me, pull you. If I lose points, it gains her points. And it's taken me a long time to get hold of that, but that's very much her mantra. Lost Cities is that game. It's that game where you go, I don't know that I want to do this, but I know you don't want me to do this. And it's one of the few games where halfway through a game, she has refused to finish it because she was discarding white. She was discarding white because she didn't need them, but they were high number whites. And she's like, you're not going to go for these. So I was like, no, I'm not going to go. I don't need white. And I was drawing blind. And then I started getting white. And there's just that turning moment where you're like, okay, if I take this and then she takes that, and then I still come out better. And so I took the 6 on white, and she was furious. What's that point playing now, is there? I hope she never watches this. It didn't cover her in glory. It's perfect at 2 players, and it doesn't play for anyone else. But it's a brilliant 2-player game. Lost Cities 32.
Cool. Mine number 32 is a classic, but a twist on a classic. You mentioned the base game Carcassonne. I'm going to be more specific and say Carcassonne the City. And if it was just base Carcassonne, it would be lower than this. But Carcassonne the City has such a charm to it, and again is an excellent 2-player game, but this one does scale up to 3 or 4 players. If you know anything about Carcassonne from what Rick was talking about, you're collectively, to some degree, drafting tiles, well, just drawing tiles, there you go, and placing them out and trying to orient them, and then placing meeples to make them score in different ways. Great, that's cool, that's a good game. It's a really good game. This one now arranges those tiles into stacks, and each stack is a round. And after the first round is gone, you're going to move into the second round. Then we bring out a bag of wall pieces, which are these lovely chunky wooden pieces. And every time somebody triggers a scoring, everybody gets to place wall around the city. But whoever triggered it gets to potentially put one of their turrets and score bonus points that way. And then everybody gets to, if they want to, use up their meeples to put them on the walls as guardsmen who can see across this city that you're creating and will score in different ways that way. But again, you've used workers that you won't get back to the end of the game. So how often do you want to do that? How early do you want to do that? All this kind of stuff. And it's a beautiful thing. You'll see a picture on the screen, the finished product. Oh man, there's nothing quite like getting to the end of the game, sitting back and going, I built something. Like there's a clear physical thing in front of you that you were responsible for. And I don't know what it is, just the added 3D element of these walls just multiply that impact that you get a little bit from Carcassonne suddenly into this such a satisfying, we built that thing regardless of win or losing. And you know, I'd rather win, but you just go, that was cool. That was just really cool. I love this. It's been out of print forever. I managed to pick it up super cheap somehow. It's brilliant. Play any Carcassonne, but I would say Carcassonne the City is the one.
Okay, my number 31. I'm going to see if you can guess this one. I have only played once. I'm not sure I'll ever play it again. It's probably the oldest game on my list. And because of that, then the component quality is fairly limited. And basically, you have to play with 7 players, and it takes all day. This is Diplomacy. You ever played it?
No.
Diplomacy, if you don't know, it is set just before the First World War. And firstly, it's a fascinating look at history, because the First World War started because someone shot someone else who then annoyed another country, and it almost was inevitable and didn't need to happen at the same time. And people just had to pick sides, and the war was fought. That's what this game is about. You are playing as, now, see if I can remember this, Britain, France, Germany, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Italy, Russia, what it was at the time, and the Ottoman Empire, which is Turkey. And you're playing as one of those people, and there's gonna be a war. And so you have to pick sides, and each turn you get to do a maneuver. But before you do your turn, you go physically into different spaces. Hey, can I have Italy? Can I have a chat with you? I'm Britain, right? I just need to, if you move to the north and I move to the south, and then that kind of cuts off France, then, we'll make a good plan. And they go, oh yeah, that's great. That really works for me. And then, so everyone, okay, great. And then I'm just going to, I mentioned to Russia, that's what we're going to do. France, we're not going to talk right now. We're not friends. And then the game plays out. And Italy didn't do the move they said they were going to do. And because you didn't talk to France, they were mad at you. And actually, they've come and attack you. And suddenly, Britain, you've just noticed you're an island and you're on your own. Now, it has to be said, I played as Italy when I first played, which is recognized to be the hardest to play. And I lost terribly, terribly. Steve Towler, if you're out there, you betrayed me, man. You betrayed me. And I was miserable. Wow. What a game. What an experience. You can find it in a charity shop for £5. If you have 6 friends, if you have a day, there's not a lot better you can do. I think it's a phenomenal piece of work, and it has stood the test of time, and it's been reprinted and reprinted. And I don't think I will ever play this again. But I think it's fantastic. This is Diplomacy.
I wonder if I'll ever get to a point in my life where that's New Year's Eve.
Oh, baby, yes.
Right?
Yeah, set off the war bombs at midnight.
Because that doesn't appeal to me, but that it's something that you're doing as the evening's going on does. Like, I like to sit and play games. That's what I like to do. But I'm not good at social engagement. So if there was a structure and a kind of other thing going on that isn't role play, gross murder mystery stuff, is this thing, then that would be interesting. I think you're the first person I've heard talk positively about this game.
And please bear in mind, I lost horribly.
Yeah.
Horribly. And it's up here.
Interesting. Well, I couldn't be more further removed from what you've just said, with a lovely little pleasant area control game from Ryan Lockett called Rome that takes about 20 minutes to play.
We're both Italian.
We are both Italian. No, ROAM. To wander, to trudge.
Jeff.
Will. Apologies. Nuts. Yeah, I don't like area control, but I kind of do now. And this is one of the games that's responsible for that. I mentioned 8-Minute Empire a long time ago now. This was the other one that came with that Kickstarter. or this was the Kickstarter, and 8 Minute Empires was a bonus that I got with it. I have metal coins, makes every game better. And what this does really interestingly is each of your characters in front of you, you start with 3, is a shape. You have the character, they are not a shape, they have a power that's a shape, and you exhaust them and put tokens out on the board, which is made of cards, in that shape. But it matters which side of the table you are on, because we will all start with the same shapes, but obviously my direction is different to yours. So if my L shape is that, obviously yours is going to be that, because you're sat looking at it the other way. And so you can't just copy what everyone else is doing because you've got the same actions. And then once a card is full, whoever has majority on it gains that card, and it's a new friend with a new shape and a new power, and suddenly your tableau gets bigger and your powers get bigger, but then it's longer before you can reset and use them all again. And you're building this up, and it's first to 10, I think it is, or 12 maybe, 10. And that's the base game, and then the advanced version, which is just the full version, just play it from the beginning. I don't know why you'd ever not use them. There are coins you get during the game, and you can spend these on little items that you can use. They're just one-off powers that allow you to replace other people's tokens, or to rotate one of your cards so that your shape is slightly different, or flip back one of your cards for free. All of this stuff, and it just makes the game far more interesting. It's just charming. It's lovely. It's nothing new. It's nothing amazing, but it was kind of a revelation for me, and got me liking a genre that I just inherently had decided I didn't like because I played too much Risk. And this just refreshed the whole thing for me. So no matter what you think of it, it's on this list because I love it, and I have such a soft spot for it. I thought when I first played it, it would be a Spice Road killer because it has very similar feel. It has not proven to be, but it's still number 31. Rome by Ryan Lockett. And Ryan Lockett, you sickening man, does everything. The art is beautiful. The whimsical text on the cards are all just lovely. I taught our parents again recently, and I knew Mum would be on board because she wouldn't care about the game. She would just have fun reading about these friends that she was making. And like you find a dog that's just chewing on a sock, and that's what it's doing. And you're like, oh. And then this like demon looking creature that was just shouting maths equations into the air, and that's what he's doing. And you're just like, that's just whimsy. It's just fun.
Like Pythagoras and Caliban mixed together.
It is. It really is. It's these weird little things. Or like a turtle that was just been stuck on his back when you found him, so you get to flip him over and now his shape looks like a turtle and all that stuff. It's just lovely. Rome. That's it. That's the games we love, and they only get better. So excited. That's top 40. We're moving into top 30 next time. How are you feeling about your top 30, the 30 to 20? Are they?
I'm just having a look. Yes. Good.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. If you want to stay updated when the final three in the series comes out, then do subscribe to the channel if you don't already, and hit the bell icon so you get notifications. And in between, check out other videos that are on the channel if you're interested. I talk about a lot of different things. I'm going to try and convince Rick one day to come in and do some other stuff as well. I have all sorts of top lists I want him to contribute on. Whether he ever has time, we shall see. But check out the videos we've got already, and find me on social media. I post stuff about the games that I play and the things that I'm doing. Other TV shows as well. I watched. Here's a weird thing for you. I spent the weekend watching all 6 Resident Evil films. Do you want to know the proportion that are good?
No, I'm not interested at all.
Oh, the answer's none.
Yeah, that's why I'm not interested at all.
Oh, I thought it was. Never mind. Well, that's the kind of stuff you can find if you search Win Some Lose Some on the usual platforms you can follow. I've probably just put everybody off that was even considering it, but never mind.
Yeah.
We'll see you again. We'll be back soon with 30 to 21. I've been Dieter. He's been Rick. See you again. Bye.